'cause it's Artist Talk. A live one-on-one conversation, 30 minutes of pure entertainment with musicians, writers, and actors to motivators, chefs, and even rappers to up-and-comers with the it factor. It's the Jazzy K Ward coming at ya. Jazzy at the top. Tune in, chime in, sit back, relax, have fun, some smiles, a few laughs. Tune in, chime in, sit back, relax, have fun, some smiles, a few laughs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, Jazzy After Dark. I'm your host, Jazzy K. Ward, and I'm so excited to bring you another edition of Artist Talk. I'm especially excited for our special guest tonight, smooth jazz bassist, Mr. Brendan Rothwell. I promise you, you are in for a special treat tonight with our up close and personal conversation. So let's check out a little clip from Brendan to see what you are in store for tonight.
Kids with GarageBand nowadays, for example, can take any sound they want, any idea they want, any spoken word, and suddenly there's something creative coming out of that. But collaborating virtually, so web or mail or whatever we're going to use, you can be yourself, and you can get it wrong, and you can get it right, and you can get it better, and ultimately you can get something that's way more worthwhile. Working on your own initially, you have a good idea of where this should go. And like I say, if you know other people that you plan to collaborate with, you can probably visualize acoustically how that's going to end up as a finished product as well. And if you're writing on your own, with the aim to collaborate with 1, 2, 3 other people, you need to keep your end idea in mind all the time. Send out that idea to people through email, through whatever medium you want to use. Their expectation is that what you're sending them is pretty much the done deal from a writing perspective. And anything they're going to add to that now is going to embellish your idea, enhance your idea, but hopefully not wreck your idea.
Wow, what an amazing, awesome there video, Brendan. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Yes, everyone, again, welcome to Artist Talk, and that's our special guest for tonight. We have bassist, composer, and producer, Mr. Brendan Rothwell. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jazzy. Great to be here.
So excited to have you. And just to talk a little bit about the video, when did you do that clip we just watched?
Well, it's funny looking at that now. I guess that was in our old house because I recognize
Okay.
the beautiful wall. It's a few years ago. I think I was probably just a few months into playing that crazy 6-string Dingwall bass that you saw there. So yeah,
Right.
early days. I've kind of got a little bit more nimble on that thing now, but it's
A
definitely
deal.
definitely.
Yeah. I'm just watching that. Amazing how you played that, that bass. And like I ask a lot of my guests, is that something, Brendan, as a small child, did you just always wanted to play the bass or any kind of instrument?
Well, I think as a small child, the bass is a little big. You know? um, I mean, the music thing for me was on piano, which is also a little big, but at least you get to sit down and it's easy.
Right.
So piano, and I sang as a kid, as
Mhm.
professionally as kids can. Um,
Right.
I played violin, but then the bass thing, it was a bit of a meeting of fate, I guess. So Miles Davis put out his Tutu album in
Okay.
1986. I was 16 when I first heard that thing.
Okay.
And I mean, the album's amazing and the title track is amazing. And we all know what we all know about that.
Right.
What fired it up for me was hearing the Marcus Miller bass sound and the Marcus Miller bass tone and the Marcus Miller
Right.
thing. And I just went, boom, all my
Boom.
classical training,
Hmm.
wonderful, absolutely stands me in good stead to this day. But
Okay.
to take that training and now do something really of value with it, for me, meant the bass is going to be the way. Specifically, the jazz bass originally, which I still play, as I think you know.
Right.
Dead straight US Fender Jazz 4-string bass, no frills, no nothing. It sounds the same every time.
Right.
But then 35 years on from there, you sort of expand your range and you figure out a few more notes, and
Right.
they're already the same notes, and it's
Right. Yeah, yeah, just simply amazing. And again, I just for all of us who are streaming, thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Artist Talk. Please share the video, invite everyone in. If you have any questions, just post them there. If you have questions for Brendan, we'll try our best to answer those in the next 30 minutes or less. Okay. And don't forget to join us tonight for a few minutes for the after party. Brendan is going to hang out with us for a little bit over on Instagram.
right.
So hopefully you guys can come over, and don't forget to bring a friend. Okay. So Brendan, with everything going on, I always ask my guests who come on the show, with the pandemic and all. So how have you and Lisa? I mean, how have you been holding up?
Well, we're pretty good. I think you got to say hi to Lisa right before we went live here as well. So
Yeah.
she's good. You know, everybody's been going through this thing, right? So I don't think
Right.
anybody really expected it to become the thing it has.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has been impacted to some extent. I think one of the issues that most people around the world now are dealing with it, whether it's internally or whether they're externalizing it, is the potential aspect of mental health impact. Because
Right.
people are, for a while there, most people were sort of shut away, they were locked away. We're generally social creatures, right? I mean, if we can't
Right.
physically talk, then we're going to do Facebook Live, or we're going to do Skype, we're going to do something
Right.
just to get a bit of communication going. Uh,
Right.
the problem is when that's all you have, and that's all most of us had in the work world as well, is this virtual environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. And so the room that I'm in now, the two of us were out at the weekend. We did one of our daily 7,000, 8,000 step walks just to keep
Right.
going. And we got back and I said, let's just strip it all out, because my studio space
Right.
had
Okay.
become my sort of Monday to Friday workspace. And that was tough. And
I
it,
bet.
it sucked the creativity away a little bit. And the work thing is essential, of course, and we need to do those things. But I've managed to build up over the last 2 or 3 years a bit of a brand and a bit of a following, and I think a lot of enjoyment of what I'm doing as well. So to see that maybe slip away was kind of tough to watch, and so I was very keen that we clean it up and we get the place back, and we're on track now. So things
Well,
are better. Yeah.
that's a great thing, and I think for a lot of us, Brendan, and maybe you can attest to this, that has it given you more time to create this phenomenal music we're going to talk about tonight? Because when I listen to your music, and I hear that bass, and I'm like, wow, because with this pandemic, it's been a blessing, it's been a curse at the same time because it's allowed us to be more creative. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree. I think I'm getting back into that space now
Right.
after a few months of maybe not so much.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very freeing as well. When you're not having to run your schedule like you have. I mean, for me, it's been 30 years plus of Monday to Friday. That
Right.
changed for me back in June. Unfortunately, my company had to do another round of cuts, and I was part of that
Okay.
downsizing exercise. And so, yeah, it leaves you floating a little bit, maybe floundering a little bit, to be completely
Mm-hmm.
honest with you. And then you gradually sort of find your feet again and you come back round. And so,
Right.
yeah, like I said, I mean, the following that I've managed to start to build up here with the two
Okay.
acts so far would suggest that we need to do more of this stuff and keep the
Right.
music, happening.
Right. That's right. Yeah. And somebody just said, "Hey, I love your." They just say, "I love your music." But I mean, your music is just, I mean, a gift. But outside of music, just a little bit more about Brendan. What were some of your hobbies that you do outside maybe of music?
Well, funny you asked that. I guess. I mean, a hobby right now, I suppose, is the walk thing. I mean,
Is the one exercise?
we're keen. I mean, believe it or not, Jazzy, I'm 50 years old, right? So,
Oh, wow. I
I,
never would have thought that. I never would have thought.
age brings a lot of things along. So, we're into that, and of course, this is a great time to do that because everybody has time, right? Whatever they want to say. We have some beautiful open space nearby, so I do that. I love movies.
Okay.
Kind of action thriller movies, that kind of stuff. I love listening to music. I mean, if I'm writing it, sure, that's one thing, or if I'm playing live, that's something different. But I love listening to all kinds of music, and yeah, the jazz thing. I mean, there's so much jazz now. There's traditional jazz, contemporary jazz, smooth jazz. I don't really know where I truly fit on that
Right.
kind of spectrum.
Okay.
But I love all types of music, and I got back into vinyl last year. I got a
Oh, wow.
and so we're playing the old school stuff as well, which is really cool. But
Yeah.
I think a big interest as well for me has become the whole aspect of social media.
And social media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what you can do with that, and you look at the Spotify world now. Let's forget money and dollars and cents for a moment.
Right.
It's a whole different conversation. We need a couple of hours for that one.
That's right.
But the principle of building up, you know, a following or folks that simply like the music or whatever it may be, it's absolutely possible now for an artist with a credible product, and I believe that what I do and have done is credible,
Right.
to start really making that push uphill. And when you get towards the top of the hill, you can actually see what's next, and it's a pretty cool thing. So
Yeah.
I think my interests have probably changed over the last 2-3 years.
I'm sure. I'm sure with all of us. And when you think about Brendan, like technology, I speak with so many people in all walks of life who said, I'm just not into this social media, Facebook and all of this. But now with this, pandemic happening, you know, I think now we can bring shows like this and bring your music closer to people. Were you already like technology savvy? Because some artists was like, I've never gone live before at all on a Facebook or any other platform.
Yeah, it's a little tough. I mean, the artist roster today ranges from late teens, early 20s up to guys in their 70s and probably beyond, quite honestly. So there's a whole gamut of knowledge or perceived I don't have any knowledge that's going on. I think the beauty is that most of this stuff is actually fairly straightforward. It's fairly simple to use. If you've got a product, if you've got a skill, if you've got a talent, most people can go out there. You go look at YouTube. There's a billion chefs on YouTube that cook.
Oh, yes.
Something else I love to do, just to add to the list of things I like to do. I love to
cook.
Okay. But you go to YouTube, there's a billion chefs, there's a billion bass players, there's a billion guitarists, all this stuff going on. I think
but we know, right, Brendan? There's only one Brendan Rothwell.
So far, we do a little check every couple of days through the old Google machine to make sure that that we're keeping the brand alive.
That's right.
It's kind of a thing because a lot of folks do have this fear of technology, and I'm not sure why, because most of those people will trust all their money to a bank online, or they'll chat to their family through FaceTime because it's a single. There's nothing that complex. It's just having confidence and having ambition. And if it goes wrong, I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen, really?
Right. Yeah. So, Brendan, there's a question. Well, what is your favorite song to play?
Yeah, I see that. Thank you, Nicole. Well done for that question. You know, in my time, I wouldn't even want to guess how many things, tracks I played. I think playing of my own, I have to say, I love playing the Sentiment, the title track. Right? I mean, that wasn't necessarily built for radio. It's kind of slow, kind of long, but kind of cool. I love playing that. The King off my first album, which I know is, you know, something you've played in the past as well, Jazzy. That has a lot of meaning. That track, I know I wrote it in memory of my dad, and it's a big deal. So I just love playing it. It has a natural kind of feel, the way it sits on the bass and the way the chords work on a bass. It's very nice to play. But the real answer is I love playing. Like I'll play. I was playing prog metal this afternoon for my friend's band, so I'll play whatever I have to play. You know.
Yeah. So I mean, when you spoke about your dad, was your dad musically inclined as well, Brendan? Yeah,
he was. I mean, you know, by sort of, I guess, by daylight hours or by trade, he was an accountant. He was also a music publisher, though. And so, you know, that wasn't necessarily the field of work. I didn't become an accountant, and I didn't start, you know, doing the numbers thing. But when he was a kid, which is such a long time ago, we won't even get into that. But in the 1920s, when he was a kid, he was a chorister in Dublin, in St. Patrick's Cathedral. And so the singing piece that I had in my childhood was the comparable. So I was a chorister at a cathedral called the Minster, which is in York, in North Yorkshire in the UK, where I'm originally from. And I was there for about 5 years, and it was, you know, 7-day-a-week education, and a lot of my education and a lot of what I sang was in Latin, the language, which really set me up for success in North America on a daily basis, having the Latin language, right? It was a very cool thing, and it was part of that sort of catalogue of classical training and classical upbringing that then I was able to say, I get it, I got it, and I'm going to do something with it.
Wow. Well, you know, just simply amazing, Brendan. And, you know, for all of those, thank you so much. Our special guest tonight is bassist, composer, and producer, Mr. Brendan Rothwell. Now, Brendan, I know the difference, but for anyone that's, you know, watching, and people have asked me this question, and I said, well, I'll get him to answer that. They want to know, composer, producer. Explain that to our listeners. You know, what is the composer? What is the producer? Because I know you were the composer and producer of your album, right?
Right. So the first album, the Time on My Hands album, it took a while, right? It took me 6 years to get it together. And I did introduce some other players to kind of support me. I had a couple of great local guys here do some keyboard work, a guy called Sheldon Zambo, just amazing piano player. And I went a little further afield. And so I actually hooked up with a drummer down in the US, a guy called Pooji Bell. And Pooji Bell, his claim to fame is he's a cool drummer. His other claim to fame is that he actually played for Marcus Miller for 12, 13 years. Yeah. So he's on a bunch of Marcus albums in it. I saw him for a number of times. So he very graciously agreed to play on one of the tracks on there, which was then, it became the first single. So This Is the Love was the track I first put out under my own name. But with the second album, with Sentiment, what I was really keen to do was, to exactly your question, kind of cement all those elements into one place. So yeah, I'm a bass player, and so like that, let's go and do some more of that. I write, so the people that like what I write, people that let's go and do some more of that. But then the production piece, you know, I learned sort of studio etiquette back in the 80s, right? And so an edit on a recording used to be a Chinograph pencil and a razor blade, and you kind of pray, and you cut the tape, and you splice the tape, and you play it back, and hopefully that's the edit. Well, now it's Command X, Command V. So, but the principles haven't changed. And so what I was really wanting to do, and what I've been told I have achieved, thankfully, was to keep the musicality piece of what's in here
Right.
in a modern day recording, which, let's face it, it's a home recording. I mean, everything is done here in my house. I don't use other studios and other producers. And so it is a ton of work for sure, but it's super, super enjoyable. And when it's something that, especially it's something that you've written and you see it start to come to life, and you have complete autonomy to say, this is what I want to happen next. It's not a control thing for the sake of control. It's a control thing for the sake of your brand. What I put out is me. If people love it, that's great. If they think I can improve it, let me know. But I'm not relying on, a name producer or a name this or a name that. It's all down to me.
It's all down to you. Well, I'm so excited that you were able to come on the show and speak with us on Artist Talk. But I'm also even more excited to share your phenomenal music with our guest tonight. And I'm truly excited that you're actually going to play live for us tonight.
Oh, I am. That's right. I am. Yeah, I put this along. I figured this might be of interest. So this is look, you can see yourself in my bass. How cool is that?
I can see that.
This is the crazy Dingwall 6-string. And so for folks that are looking, it's kind of cool. You can probably see the neck on this thing. It's doing this. It's doing a slant, right?
I saw it.
Yeah, so the frets are not, 90 degrees. It's kind of all over the shop. Regular bass, as most folks know, is 4 strings. This guy is 6 strings. So I'm going super low. I'm going super high. Yeah, we thought we'd try and do a little bit of playing live. It's a little tricky down here while sitting in my, Dr. Evil chair, but we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, so again, Brendan is going to play one of his songs titled Revival for us tonight here on Artist Talk. I'm Jazzie K. Ward. Let's take it on, Brendan.
Let us try.
Let's try.
That thing.
Woo! Just as smooth as a glass of wine. Ladies and gentlemen, that was bassist, composer, producer, Mr. Brendan Rothwell giving us Revival. What a beautiful song.
Thank you. And I see a little here. He got some Nathan East in him.
And he must have been reading my mind, Brendan, because again, when I think about your musical influences, you know, I think about, you know, Marcus Miller, I think about Wayman Tisdale, and of course, Nathan East. You know, any other influences, or have you worked with any of those artists?
Well, you know, scary and fortunate to say, I kind of have worked with Nathan East, actually. We were both involved in the Jazz Weekender last year and again this year in February, right before the crazy lockdown, right? We were down in Carmel, and yeah, he is. I mean, aside from obviously his playing and his, you know, his resume is like thousands.
Yeah,
Man, what a generous and kind and thoughtful human being he really is. As is his family. You know, he was playing well every night. I mean, him with his band of brothers, and it was crazy. On the Sunday, last day of the festival, there was a jazz brunch, and jazz brunches, JAZZIE, is kind of where I started to learn the whole jazz thing 30 odd years ago. So there's a couple of hundred of us in this room. Nathan East walks on, Steve Ferroni on drums, and he calls his son up. He calls Noah up to play piano. Now Noah's, I think he's 20 now. Unbelievable player, like killer piano player. But this kid walks on stage, and his dad is there, and his dad says, "Come on, Noah, come on, play piano. Let's hope that music education's paying off."
Right.
No pressure, right? No pressure at all.
No pressure.
But yeah, I mean, you know, Nathan East for sure. Wayman Tisdale, I would love to have played. I never got to see him play live. I've heard everything is recorded. There's a whole different pre-music career story there as well. Marcus Miller, no, never played with. Would love to one day. Met him a bunch of times. Again, very generous, kind of down-to-earth guy. But the list goes on, and there's so many players that we've all heard and we all recognize, and we all admire and respect. I think even to have a little bit of time in the same space as that is pretty cool right now, and we'll see where things go. I mean, if I get more collaboration opportunities with any of those guys.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, you know, any more, you know, future projects, any collaborations possibly with anyone in the works?
Yeah, a few things going on. You know, my metal guys, obviously, you know, separate conversation, but Hey Mirror, for those watching, you want to check him out. Johnny Fraser. Johnny's a British guy, a little bit like me in terms of he sounds like me, and we have a very similar haircut. He has a very cool band called Cold Jack. He and I are actually working on some stuff for a separate project to come out next year. I think he's chatted to you about that. Christian de Messana is another bass of some repute, right? He and I, with a bunch of other bass players, are going to be putting out a track. I think it's due for release in October. So get in front of Christian on that one and see what's going on. And then a couple of bass things that I'm beyond pleased to be part of, potentially. So GTF, who I'm pretty sure you know of those guys.
Right, we talked about that.
Yeah, Bay Area band. A couple of great albums out. They're working a new album right now. And in fact, we chatted to them last weekend, and they've asked me to take part in that new album. So there's going to be one, maybe two kind of Brendan Rothwell based things going on there, which is cool because like
Right.
the main guy from GTF himself, aside from being an amazing singer, is a great bass player. So
Right.
that's a bit of a, thank you for the recognition. And then Tony Saunders, of all people. I mean, Tony,
right.
like the godfather of smooth jazz bass,
Smooth jazz.
right? Hit me up. Hey, we got to do a track. So there's going to be some kind of duet. I mean, if you've ever seen me and Tony together, it's kind of, there's a little difference in size and height, right? I'm
Right.
a little dude.
Definitely.
Tony's a big guy, but I think our basses will work well together. If the promotional photographs may look a little strange, so we'll see.
Right. That's awesome. And real quick, Brendan, and I saw someone had mentioned a comment. I don't know if you saw it. I love This Is Love, which I think came out 2016.
The album was finished in 16. Yeah, the single came out in 2017. It was, I think, March. Yeah, mid-March that year. We actually pushed that one out. It was, it really well.
A lot of people like it, and I know you said that song was an influence for Lisa, your wife.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, you write what you know about, right? And we've been together a long, long time, and so we know about each other, and so here's a track. It happened to do really well. What can you say?
Yeah. So tell us, I know we talked a little earlier about was it that song on Spotify that got the 1 million streams we were talking briefly about?
Right. No. So where that's at right now, the Spotify thing recently went crazy. So, like all artists, you start off and you get excited when there's, 2 people listening, you get 20 streams, right? So I broke 1 million streams. So my total broke 1 million streams about 5 weeks ago, I think.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But since then, it's actually gone way north. So I'm now sort of 15 to 20% of that again already in just a month.
Wow.
And it's not going to become a retirement plan for those that are in the know of the music industry. But what it does do, like I said, is helps really formulate that brand identity. And, I have like thick end of 60,000 people every month now listening to my music on Spotify. So I couldn't have done that 30 years ago trying to sell 7-inch singles around in
That's true. And for all of those who are watching the show, Brendan, are just discovering Brendan Rothwell, how can they find out more information about you as well as your music?
Well, for those watching, thanks to you, Jazzie, they found out a lot this evening that I wasn't sure we were going to get into. That's totally cool. For those who want to go the online world, so BrendanRothwell.com. It's very, very glary, I know, but you'll see the logo everywhere on my products, on my website. BrendanRothwell.com is the main web space.
Okay.
You've got links there to the music itself if you want to download it. You can buy the CDs direct from me. I'm now, at this point in my life, a musician, full-time per se. So I'd love to sell some product to you. We'll sign it and get it signed off and put it in the mail. And then Instagram, of course, and Facebook, the social media platforms, Rothwell Bass. Take a look for that, and you'll see me in one of these Robert Graham and other Robert Graham shirts that I love.
I wanted to tell you, I love the shirt.
Yeah, I have too many. I have too many of these, and I have more shoes than Lisa, so that you can see the.
That's awesome, Brendan. And real quick, I wanted to also mention and get you to talk a little bit about your latest release, the latest album, Sentiment, which came out February 2019.
Yeah, I mean, where did that time go? I know the last 6 months has gone pandemic, right? But the year before, it seemed to fly by. So yeah, we launched that Valentine's weekend of last year. Actually, so somehow we've managed to get 4 singles off that album now. So the first one, Keep On Keeping On, was the track. And I should briefly tell you as well, the title of that actually came from Nathan East.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little bit of a tagline he uses. And I said, hey, it's all good.
Keep on keeping on.
Right. So, but that track, I wrote a good 60, 70% of that album.
Okay.
Here, I wrote it specifically for radio. Knowing that audience was really taken to the stuff I was playing, I said, let's really, really get it now. And so that track got me to number 1. So I had number 1 with that thing for 5 weeks, I think, of last summer.
Wow.
Billboard, top 20, all the network charts, top 20 or top 10 in most cases.
That's just one of those feel-good songs. I play that song so much on my show.
I know.
Keep it up. It's like, it's one of those songs you have to get up and, and group. And your music I mean, it really just feeds the soul. So if anyone, your first time discovering Brendan's music, you need, again, you can find him on all social media platforms. But that song, Keep On Keeping On, is wow. It's like breathtaking.
It keeps going. I'm not going to stop it. It's one of those things. It's like the soup can variety, right? The name tells you what it should keep doing. So it's cool. So we did that. We've had a couple more singles, and now I think maybe 3 weeks ago I released "Now's the Time."
Now's the time.
Time came out. I really feel is a poignant piece of music because of the time that we're in at this stage, right? We don't know if we're 20% into this thing or 60% and we really shouldn't use up what's up here to worry about that. We can't control those things. What we can do, and all of us can do this, is try and maximize the time that we have right here, right now. So now's the time for me was a little bit of a, hey, folks, let's keep the communication going. Let's not let problems get in the way, and let's play nice, right?
Let's just play nice. And hey, Brendan, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I know we're just like winding down in time, so that means you have to come back.
Love to.
You'll love to come back. And for all of those who are watching, come on over to IG. We're gonna have a little after party. Maybe I can get Brendan to play a song, maybe something for us on IG at the after party. Bring you a glass of wine, bring a friend. We're gonna hang out for a few minutes and talk. But one final question I wanted to ask you, Brendan, before you go. What's the best advice that you've been given?
In music or in life?
In life.
Shine your shoes.
Shine your shoes. That's my grandfather was extremely big on that. He was about a man with shining shoes. And I remember as a little boy, he used to take me to go get my shoes shined.
There you go.
Hey, what's some awesome advice. But again, thank you so much, Brendan, for hanging out at Artist Talk, Jazzy After Dark. We look forward to you coming back on the show. Give your love to your beautiful wife, Lisa.
Okay.
And thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. Okay, Brendan?
We'll do that. Thank you, Jazzy. Thanks, everyone. Let's see.
Thank you so much. Again, everyone, I'm Jazzie K. Ward. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for another edition of Artist Talk. So Brendan's latest song that he has released out now is called Now's the Time. So we're going to let you enjoy this right here on Artist Talk. Wow, it doesn't get any smoother than that. That was bassist Brendan Rothwell. That was his latest single, Now's the Time, off of his latest project, Sentiment. So make sure you go and pick that up, and you can find Brendan on all social media platforms. Again, I'm your host, Jazzie K. Ward. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Artist Talk. I look forward to being back with you, same place, same time, Monday, right here. Don't forget to go to KWARD Radio, like the page. Thank you so much to everyone for their support. And also, don't forget to get, I don't know if you can see that, your KWARD Radio mask. Right. So the Cash App information is there. Just send me a message. It comes in white, it comes in blue, red, and black. Okay. Thank you so much for the show. Don't forget to join us at the after party. Bring a friend, bring your glass of wine, your favorite cocktail. We're going to have another little conversation with Brendan over there. Again, make sure you tell someone that you love them today, because tomorrow's not promised to any of us. Okay? So you guys, thank you so much. Have a good night. See you next time on Artist Talk.
Artist Talk. Jazzie after dark. Artist Talk. Artist Talk.